Hello and welcome to the TCF Morning Show. It is Monday, November 2nd. And boys, we are in November. This year is going along slowly but surely. We are getting through 2020. And this morning I am joined by Matt Schoolfield at schools_01 and Boomy at Boomy TCF. I am Zach Lilia at Z Lilia TCF. The main page is at typical_Chicago. And this morning we will be talking about the Bears losing to the Saints in overtime, 26-23. And it was a very rough game to watch. Me and Maddie will have a lot of thoughts on that game. And then we'll have NFL Sunday Week 8 recap. We also have a little thank you to Jon Lester. He was helping out the people of Chicago have a free Miller Lite on him this weekend. A little college football talk. And to end the show, we will have Boomy's Wacky web story. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, just type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Typical Chicago Fans YouTube page. All of our morning shows, podcasts, interviews, all are on there. And then if you want to follow along with the podcast, just go over to wherever you get your podcast from. If it's Apple, subscribe, rate, and review to Typical Chicago Fans. If it's anywhere else, just type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. Shout out to 26shirts.com Chicago. We love them over there at 26shirts.com Chicago. If you go over there, you buy a shirt, you buy a hat, or you buy a flag, and you go to checkout, you use promo code Typical Chicago Fans at checkout, you will get 15% off of your purchase. Again, that is Typical Chicago Fans at checkout, and you will get 15% off of your purchase at 26shirts.com Chicago. Boys, how are we doing this morning after a weekend full of football?
Bad. Man, it's
my
Packers
no one
lose,
here.
your Bears lose.
No one here won. Neither teams had good games.
I would have taken the tie. I'm not gonna lie, I would have taken the tie.
I was begging for the tie.
That would have felt like a big. That would have felt like a big win. The way that thing.
I don't even know how we got to overtime. Really, that's
I don't know, man.
Tough game for both teams.
Everything's just a little more jovial and a little bit more fun when both of our teams win. So it's understandable that we'd be a little bit down.
Way more jovial when the Packers lose and the Bears win. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was trying to be nice. Here you go. You wonder why I think that?
Well, let's move into our first subject. We got the Bears. Like I said, the Saints losing to the Bears. No, wait. The Saints beating the Bears in OT. I don't know. I had the range of emotions for me during this game was insane. I was one way. I was like, oh, here we go, we're back, and then it was like, oh, this season stinks. This team stinks. We can't get anything going. Then we get back in, and then I'm like, oh, here we go. And even at the end of the game, I'm still thinking we're 5-3. Not great. But with the Packers losing also, so it kind of we're not falling behind. It would have been nice to gain a little bit of ground there, but at least we didn't lose ground per se. But Matt, what was your thoughts on some of the? First of all, I need to know what was Matt Nagy thinking running the ball when we were just trying to get in field goal range with not a lot of time left? That was one of the most baffling calls I've seen him make almost ever with the Bears.
The running game has been we all know what it's been in Chicago. Everyone's been pounding the table, beating their chest to get the running game going, get the ball to David Montgomery, stop giving it to Cordero Patterson. When he calls a run, though, too, it's like he called the one and it worked out. I don't know how they got a 3rd and 8 conversion on a run play.
So
David Montgomery broke
they
2
missed a tackle
to convert. He broke 2 of them to convert a 3rd and 8 that he ran. I don't know what the hell that play call is. I'm sorry, I just don't get it anymore. And
it's like we don't like to make the running plays happen when we need them, but then when we actually need to throw the ball, it's like, oh, let's make a running play here.
He never throws. It just never seems like he throws when there's. I don't know. The rhythm is always off.
It's like it's all backwards.
It does. It always feels like he's trying to outsmart everybody. He's like, okay, if they think I should pass, I'm going to run here. If they think I should run, I'm going to pass here. That's fine to mix it up and do that occasionally, keep the defense on the toes a little bit. You can't run a scheme on that, though. And it's just going to be a little bit more common sense mixed in with some creativity, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but,
it's a little more. I don't know. Stop. It's like he's overthinking the game.
Yeah. A lot of times, like I said, it feels like he has to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, let's
just make the
play
simple
does not
play.
need to be a trick
Make the
play.
easy play. Make the easy call. And some of his the play or he could use a timeout. He went on the field goal. What was he doing there? The kicker was already rattled. They got moved back 5 yards from the when Lutz took a delay of game. I think Peyton was yelling for the kickball to get
so let's let them
in,
calm
didn't come
down.
in. So yeah, exactly. What are you doing calling a timeout? Save that
Unbelievable.
timeout. You might need it when he blows this kick. He's already rattled. Force him to kick. Don't let him recoup. Like, what was that?
It's like they were trying.
I don't know.
It was almost like they were trying to lose this game, and it was getting to be a little outrageous that they were even in overtime because it was just like.
How bad's the offensive line though, too?
Oh well, and then
in all
losing
honesty,
2 players, Bobby Massey, and then his backup came.
Massey stinks.
But I know, but still.
And I know you don't want to lose starters, obviously, but man, that's just.
But if he's not very good, his backup can't be very good.
Yeah, well, bingo.
You know what I mean?
You're right, and
So,
that shows.
Trade deadline is Tuesday. The Bears have kind of talked about maybe making a move. Hopefully they go for a guard. Not really sure what they're going to do. I wouldn't know who to even say that they would go after. But hopefully they make some improvements there. Boomy, you got something to say?
Yeah, man, I just kind of want to throw this out to you guys. A lot of talk on social media is going back to Mitch, and I know we've discussed this many times. And you look at Foles from today, 28
that Nick Foles made.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, comes down to, like you said, the offensive line is terrible. Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles is not the savior, and I think everybody knew that.
That's the problem.
But do you start looking at maybe going back to Mitch, or where do you sit at on that?
Maybe. I'm not saying not to or whatever, but I think the biggest problem is we wanted Nick Foles to be the savior. And guess what? Maybe we just have 2 bad quarterbacks. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Mitch is – I don't know. I keep hearing all this, well, what if Mitch played? What if this and that? Like, what if? I mean, what do you mean? I don't know. I just don't think that going back to him is going to fix anything. I think the biggest problem is we have no quarterback going for the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the problem is we have 2 bad quarterbacks.
I don't think you could go to Mitch. I think the locker room would just fall apart at some point where it's I think a lot of people showed how they felt about Mitch when
People showed their alliances.
And it was like, the playbook's opening up, and this and that and the other. Yeah, well, you're also not going to be able to scramble and say, catch a first down on a run play when, Foles has an open lane but doesn't have the foot speed to turn the corner. So, those things that you give up to. I don't think it's the time to go back to Mitch. I think that's the kind of the wave the white flag. The only thing I could see is maybe. If you get a team that would maybe part with a conditional 7th rounder for Mitch, at this point, because he's going to walk, he's a free agent. Yeah. You're not going to re-sign him. So you might as well, if somebody's going to take maybe the Patriots, they're 2-5 now, and Cam Newton's proven that he's not really, maybe just open up the quarterback, see what you got. It's a shit year. It's a throwaway year for Belichick anyway, maybe, and I'm not saying that that's, anything that is likely, but I can see a move like that where it's just like, all right, who cares about this year? Let's just start seeing what we got in some of these guys like Stidham, and we'll throw Trubisky in the mix, and you know what you got in Newton now. So I don't know. I think there's maybe some value somewhere that somebody might want to see what they've got in him, and maybe get a good at him, prior to free agency. Let's not forget he was a unanimous first round selection, no matter where he was going to be taken in that draft. So think about it. The only team that saw talent in him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
right, or a team that's like super injury plagued right now, like a team like the Cowboys that is throwing a one double A guy out there. There's a couple teams like that.
Who's got a chance to win a division still, Dallas does. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
And frankly, you'd rather start Mitch than this guy tonight. And not that this guy's been, terrible as Danucci or whatever his name. They're not moving the ball down the field. It's not something that they're able to do with the offense that they have. Mitch in the Dallas, again, they don't have a good offensive line. You saw what Mitch did with a good offensive line 2 years ago. He can play plays. He can get the ball down the field at times. It's not like he was, setting the world on fire or anything, but he came into 19 with some MVP buzz a little bit and as a dark horse candidate, which, that went to the wayside. I saw Boomy's little smirk there. That went to the wayside pretty early, but, I don't know. I think there's talent there. Maybe see what you can get for him. And, I don't know. I don't
At the end of the day, though, you guys are still 5-3, and it's not a pretty 5-3, but it's still 5-3, and you're
we play the Titans next week, who they're good, not great. So we'll have to deal with that next Sunday. But yes, the
Derrick Henry will be fun to stop.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But we'll move on.
Dude, how about aside from him, how about AJ Brown too, the receiver they got? He's a beast too. Yeah. It's they got hit between him and Derrick Henry. They got two, which is absolute monsters.
Well, let's go into it. We got our NFL Sunday Week 8 recap. Boomy, you got the games for us.
You know it, buddy, and I hate to admit it, but Matt was right on this. My Packers could not stop anything on the defensive end. Lose 28-22. Made Dalvin Cook look like just insane. I mean, he's good, and I'm not saying he's not, but they made him look like
250 yards all purpose or whatever.
Yeah, it was just embarrassingly bad. 163 rushing yards and 63 receiving yards. It was bad. Aaron Rodgers tried to get him back in there at the end and just couldn't get it done. Offensive line's beat up. The defense is bad. You got a quick turnaround too. Yeah, that hurt a lot. And on Thursday night, you got to travel to San Francisco. So,
who's also got some injuries again. Garoppolo came out of the game. George Kittle came out of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, the Packers losing Aaron Jones, his work speaks for itself. And then you have your blindside guy with Bakhtiari out for the second or third week in a row. They're going to need to figure something out here quick. I've heard a lot of rumblings about different looks at the trade deadline, kind of like you spoke of. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Moving on, the Steelers remain unbeaten as they take down the Ravens 28-24. Man, I hate to say it, Steelers might be legit.
Hey,
the Steelers are legit. There's no question.
I went 1v2 on this one against you guys, and I saw the Steelers being
that defense is tough, man.
Are the Ravens just not as good as last year?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams, especially teams that play them twice a year, have not. I don't want to say figured them out, but they've definitely learned that there's a path that they can use to beat them. I think that's for sure.
Yep. But the Steelers, the only undefeated team left, right?
Yes. Yep.
Roethlisberger's got weapons galore too. Man.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Claypool's an absolute stud.
Yeah, he's making me having Juju on my team not very as impressive as it used to be because now Juju's not. And obviously James Conner's having a pretty solid year too.
Deontay Johnson too.
Yeah, I mean they've got guys all over the place that are having really good years, and it explains why they're undefeated right now. The Colts take down the Lions 41-21. Kind of a fairly close game early, but the Colts just kind of ran away with it. I can't get a beat on the Colts. I think they're good.
The Lions.
Luckily, the Lions just I don't.
Just last week though, you were kind of saying though, Boomy.
The what?
You kind of said last week, though, a little bit that they could maybe make a run in this division, like at least to be.
They're frisky, man. Like they've been in so many games. Like they ended up losing pretty bad to the Saints, I think, and they were in that game for like 3 quarters. Like I don't know. I think they're still a couple years out. They got a couple young guys, but I don't know, man. Then they have weeks like this, and they get 20 piece at home to the Colts. That's a tough read. As stated earlier, the Patriots continue to fall down. 24-21,
You hate
Bills
to see it.
take the win in Buffalo. Yeah, it's
Newton fumbled in the red zone too. The
That was
Patriots were
bad.
driving, so it was
that was tough.
tough way to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, maybe just a throwaway year for Belichick to rebuild next year. Never
COVID.
count him out. Yeah, for sure. Joey Burrow and the Bengals take down the Titans 31-20. The Titans, they had moments where they looked really good there, especially like when they were trying to come back late. But man, early the Bengals were just doing whatever they wanted.
Joe Burrow
as far
is
as holding.
a good quarterback going forward, I think.
If they can get him an offensive line, he'll be good. If not, and he continues to get killed back there, he's going to be in some danger.
I think he's a stud. I will say too that the Titans defense is not very good. So any hope of that team making a deep playoff run, I think, is going to fall flat.
Also, a
defense.
big test for this Bears team. If they fall flat against this Titans team, it's going to be tough to beat anybody.
I agree.
Not
they got to be able
anybody,
to move the ball.
I'm not even saying it to win against them. To
have to move the ball.
Yeah. If you play great offensively and somehow their offense beats us, that's fine. But this offense cannot go out there and have another second half like they did. Like you played great in that first half, whatever. That second half was not there.
It's just so inconsistent. Just can't have it.
Like you started right off the first quarter. You're like, dang, this team looking good. Like whatever, we're moving the ball. Nothing.
Nailed it, man. I can't get a read on the Titans or the like I said, I think they're both good teams, but man, they just have some lapses where I'm like, I don't know how much to invest in them. But moving on, in probably the ugliest game of the weekend, the Raiders take down the Browns 16-6. Don't give up a touchdown in like 50-mile-an-hour winds in Cleveland. Man, the Raiders are in a very similar situation, sitting at 4-3. And to be honest, the Browns just looked a little lost out there today.
They did. I'm sorry. I just watched one of the weirdest plays ever.
That was a great. Is he going to make it without getting hit? Oh, there he goes. Touchdown.
Yep, touchdown.
You're telling me this garbage game had a...
Wow. This is just... How did this make it to Sunday night? I don't know.
It's
brutal.
Comically
Sorry,
bad.
Boomy.
Brutal schedule.
No, you're good. The Browns, I don't know. Obviously, like
I don't think they're going to be very good. I think
but...
say whatever you want about Odell Beckham. He was out there. He was at least a decoy in a way at some points. If you want, and now he's not. There's no threat of him out there, so it's going to be tougher for the wide receivers.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we talked about it. Zach Jarvis Landry doesn't have a touchdown this year.
No, his one that he about had today was taken away.
Yeah, seriously.
So I think that loss of him for the season is a lot bigger than people think.
I completely agree. And obviously playing in that division, like you said, the Bengals are starting to get some things together, and obviously Pittsburgh's, as of right now, best record in football, and Baltimore's not going. I mean, they're not great, but they're not going anywhere. It's going to be tough for them to rebound from that loss. Mm-hmm. In a battle of the best team in the league one of the best teams in the league versus one of the worst teams in the league, the Chiefs obliterate the Jets. I'm happy for the Jets, so they scored 9 points. It's more than I probably would have guessed they would have scored. They are a dumpster fire, and the fact that Kansas City only hung 35 on them is a little bit lower.
But that team is not going to win a game this year. No way.
No, I don't think
they don't want to.
Will. No, I mean they're playing for a guy that no one in that locker room likes. The talent just isn't there. The ownership is bad. They're bad top to bottom.
Mm-hmm. Makes me feel good every week.
Yeah, for sure. If you're feeling bad, like we're all three kind of down right now. Hey guys, at least we're not Jets fans. The Rams, after beating the Bears last weekend, looking flying high, get pummeled by Tua and the Dolphins, 28-17. Jared Goff.
Bad. That was maybe the worst first half by a team I've seen all year.
In the first half
Bad.
of the Rams.
Bad.
And I don't know, are you guys in, taking a flyer on Tua and the Dolphins at all? I mean, I think they're starting to really look nice.
We'll see.
Brian Flores more than anything. That guy's a fantastic coach.
That's a great point, Matt.
That team is prepared every single week. It doesn't matter if it's Fitzpatrick, quarterback, or Tua, whatever roster they're throwing together. Everybody is prepared to play. That guy's got that team headed in the right direction.
And in a division that, I mean, the Bills are good, but it's definitely a winnable division right now. Where
it completely is. Completely is.
Having coming in, the future is looking good for the Dolphins. I feel weird.
You got your quarterback. What more do you want?
Yep.
I
mean, they made the change at the right time, I think.
I was always thinking about
you got your coach
singing his tanking for Tua on this show, so I'll never forget that. Happy for him, at least. In a battle of young quarterbacks out west, Drew Lock and the Broncos outlast Herbert and the Chargers, 31-30. What a game!
Give me Drew Lock dancing all day long. I want every Drew Lock dancing.
Hey, those are two good young quarterbacks too.
Dancing, I love it.
Two good young quarterbacks, I think, out there.
Yeah. That game ended up being way better than I anticipated.
That's got a little bit of reminiscent of the Jay Cutler, Phillip Rivers rivalry with Herbert and Locke. So, I don't know, man. Give me those two teams in shootouts all week. I'll take it every day.
Couldn't agree more. And then the final game of the afternoon, the Seahawks take down the 49ers 37-27.
A lot of injuries
the Seahawks
for
are
the
good.
49ers during the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Seahawks are good.
And the
DK Metcalf,
game,
my goodness, you can't catch that guy. He is so fast.
It's Tyler Lockett last week, DK Metcalf this week. Pick your poison. They got two absolute studs, and Russell Wilson's probably the best quarterback in the world right
MVP.
now. So, I don't know, man.
I don't know how he does
that. That offense is working on all cylinders.
They didn't even have Chris Carson today, I don't think.
Nope, they did not. He's out.
And they still have a very convincing win. But, Zach, remember, it was a good point that you made. Today might have been a first. We might have watched a game in Seattle with the sun out for the first time.
I don't know if you watched that game, Matt. There was sunshine at
the Seattle game?
Seattle.
Oh, yeah. I was watching that game.
What was that?
That was weird.
It's
2020, man.
Usually
it's never sunny.
That might be the craziest thing all year. That was unbelievable.
You got to add that to the list of 2020.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
It is a sight to see. And then going on Sunday night, the Eagles are beating the Cowboys 21-9 in probably the ugliest game.
Did not watch this game.
I unfortunately had it on. I almost wanted to turn it off just to send a message to the NFL that I don't want to watch this garbage game, but it's better than nothing.
No! Chance turned us off. We're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. I was just sending my message. It is. It's a slap in the face that they allowed that to be the Sunday night game.
That's why I love the way they can like flex games into that position. That's why you use that.
Exactly. That is bad. Again, same kind of with us boys. At least we're not, Cowboys or Eagles fans right now. Those teams are bad. I don't care what anybody says. And then tonight we have the Buccaneers and the Giants on Monday Night Football in New York. We'll see if Tom and the Buccaneers can go on the road and pick up. They're 12.5-point favorites right now. It'll be interesting to see that for sure.
We will see how that goes. It's a lot of points. Always a lot of points. In a football game. But week 8, we're halfway through the season, boys, technically. So both of our teams lose today. We don't feel the greatest about either loss. But like I said, you got Thursday night, we got Sunday. So we move on to week 9. Hopefully the Bears get a W.
Ooh.
What?
That looked like a bad fall there.
Dude, I saw one today where I literally thought the guy was going to have to be carted off, and he just walked off the field.
Some of these guys
stretchers this weekend on NFL fields than I think I have in the last 12 months.
Not good. But let's move on. thank you to Jon Lester. He bought all of Chicago. Oh, there's 4 bars in Chicago. He was buying your first Miller Lite for you. You just say put it on John's tab. The Cubs ended up not picking up. I think it was a $25 million option. Jon Lester is still hoping to get a deal with the Cubs for less money. But we'll have to see how that goes going forward. But even if he doesn't, Jon Lester, he was that spark that the Cubs needed to get that World Series kind of going. You know what I mean? Getting that team
he was
going.
The first big name.
He was the first big name that came over. Pretty much kind of came over with Theo. That was the first big player really in general to get on this team. And it was a great first player because he's always been great with the young guys, the veterans. He seemed like he's always been respected in that locker room, and it's just been an awesome experience to have him out there. And he's just been an amazing pitcher too.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the city. Obviously, talking about this weekend, but the different charitable organizations
he
has,
and a bowling event or something, or he always has an event.
Yeah. Yep, but even deeper than that, helping younger guys when they get there, and he really set the tone. Like I said, we mentioned that he was the first big name to sign, with Theo and the Cubs that kind of propelled, some of these other signings and kind of propelled, the direction that the Cubs were going, and everything he's done for the city is, it can't be understated.
No, yeah, I think one of the best signings of in Chicago sports history from the free agency side. I would say him, Marion Hossa, probably 1, 2.
Yeah.
Him and Marion Hossa, I think, are the two debatable ones. But
yeah,
he legitimized that team. He was the free agent acquisition that said, all right, this team is ready to start making their move in the league. And they didn't win the World Series in 2016 without him. So.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the best Cubs of all time. Always be one of my favorite pitchers in the organization as well. So kudos to him for a great career if he's done, and if not, good luck where he goes, man. He was awesome, absolutely awesome.
Also, it's so classy how he did it too. They didn't pick up your option. He still says he wants to be on the team. He wants to work out a deal. He buys all the Miller Lights for Chicago. So he said, classy guy, great pitcher. Like I said, overall, always seemed like a really, really good guy to, like I said, just sit down and have a beer with. And that is if it is on his way out, he is proving it by buying everyone a Miller Lite in Chicago at the 4 bars. Thank you, Jon Lester. But boys, let's move on. We got college football. Boomy, you got a little update for us?
Yeah, man, it's another, kind of wild weekend. We saw Trevor Lawrence not being able to play due to COVID. Boston College gave him a hell of a scare early. Clemson did come back and win 34-28. And big news that you've probably seen, though, Trevor Lawrence will not play against Notre Dame next week.
That's huge.
Huge loss.
Very
and
big.
I believe that game is where is that? I want to say it's at Notre Dame, and don't get me wrong, it is at Notre Dame. But, I mean, the kid that they have is a 5-star quarterback, but he definitely looked a little, deer in the headlights there at the beginning against Boston College. Because Boston College is not a good football team, and they gave Clemson everything they could handle. And speaking of probably the worst team, Kansas might be the worst team in Division I football. They are comically bad. They got 30-pieced by an average Iowa State team. Les Miles is not the answer in Kansas. Some other games running down. We talked about this team a couple times. Coastal Carolina ranked for the first time in school history. They rout Georgia State 51-0. That is an absolute ass whipping. And then one of the other big upsets, Michigan falls to Michigan State. Man, Jim Harbaugh can never seem to get it done in games that mean something. But I could be wrong.
This game shouldn't even have meant anything. Michigan State stinks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a game that Michigan should have just absolutely murdered them. I mean, it's getting to the point where what are you going to do with this guy? I mean, you can't keep trotting him back out there, can you? in all reality.
You would think
I don't know.
after a while, but you think they'll ever actually fire him? Like, I don't know.
He's like the golden child there, It's tough. And the team we mentioned earlier, Notre Dame, 31-13. I know we're not all the biggest Notre Dame here, but here's one I wanted to bring up to you guys because I know you guys love Coach O and LSU. They fall 48-11 to Auburn. They sit at 2-3, and some public rumblings are coming out about Coach O. Obviously, you get rid of the guy now. He bleeds, purple and yellow. So, a little worried about Coach O at the very moment, though.
I mean, there's a reason he's kind of been the coach he's been up until last year. He lost some jobs. He was always known as a great recruiter, and that hasn't changed. He's always getting talent, and he's going to continue to get good talent at LSU. Last year, he had Joe Burrow playing unconscious football. Yeah. I mean, and not that he didn't deserve any credit for that, but that
a good player.
Roster,
like I said, a 4-year
roster
player.
was loaded. Roster was loaded too.
A lot of those guys
Chase
went to the
is
NFL.
Gone. Jefferson's gone. The defense, great. Delpit's gone. Stingley was hurt for a good chunk of the season so far. So it's Patrick Quinn's gone from last year. They lost tons and tons of talent from that defense, tons of talent from the offense. You don't just recover from that, especially when it's a coach who's not your Urban Meyer, those kind of the Nick Sabans, the guys that, not only are they great recruiters, they're great X and O guys too. And that's why those teams are consistently good every year. So it's, you're going to get these lulls. And then once the talent and all these young freshmen, sophomores, season a year or two, and then coach will probably hold the team here. So
definitely,
I don't think you can fire the guy. I think that's insane.
No, absolutely not. He just won a national championship last
year.
That needed to chill just a little bit. Couple other local ones. Northwestern moves to 2-0. Iowa falls to 0-2. It's just a complete opposite in that one. Northwestern's usually the stinker. They're 2-0. Now, granted, they've beat Maryland and Iowa, but, Iowa's sitting at 0-2. And remember all the scandal stuff that broke this summer out in Iowa. I wonder how much of an effect that is having, guys.
We got Maction starting Wednesday, boys. Let's go.
Buddy.
Let's go.
Yeah, my Huskies were picked to finish last in the MAC West, so it could be a brutal year. And last one I want to bring up to you guys, BYU continues. They are 7-0 right now. They pummeled Western Kentucky 41-10. I watched some of that game. Are you guys believing in BYU? Could they make a New Year's Eve game or a New Year's Day game right now?
Undefeated.
Yeah,
and
why not?
Quarterback is
Zach Wilson.
I like Big Cat does they had their college football show. And they do all top 10. So he just had every undefeated team in his top 10.
Yep.
Yeah, Zach Wilson's outstanding, man. That dude's he's the real deal. He can play anywhere.
Running back, he's a monster. They're good, and like I said, I want to wait until they play some real good talent, but they are cruising right now, and they're beating up on just about everybody.
I love it. Boomy, do you have a wacky web story for us?
I do, buddy. And, we talk about the weather around here this time of year. And what's one of the biggest things you always see on Facebook? It's checking under your cars, checking your engines for animals, that are trying to find warmth. It's just that time of year.
I didn't know that was a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, cats and other, various animals, try to, find a little place to hang out where it's warm, especially when it gets, freezing temperatures. But a man in Florida was a little bit more surprised when he went to check under the hood of his car because of the cold weather. And they removed a 10-foot Burmese python from under the hood of his car. Yep. This man went out to mess with his Ford Mustang in Dania Beach, which is adjacent to Fort Lauderdale, and he popped it up, and a 10-foot snake was making home in his engine.
Yeah, I don't want to. Nope. I don't
Thank
know.
God we live where we do.
Yep.
It's one thing to find a
I
mouse
hate
or
snakes.
other rodent,
Even the
but
thought of
it'd
a
be
snake
another
just
thing to
freaks
find
me out.
a
Nope,
10.
I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm just burning that car. I
Yep.
will just
Yep.
move on.
Can't drive it again. That's the only choice.
Nope.
Only choice is to set it on fire.
Absolutely.
Boys, anything post show?
Who are you guys voting for? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
No.
kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously, make sure you get out and vote. Election on Tuesday. Exercise your
I
right
already
as an
did.
American.
I already mailed mine back. Mailed it weeks ago.
Attaboy. Everybody prepare for the chaos that will ensue. It's just going to be.
Tuesday is going to be bad. Wednesday is going to be just atrocious. It's going to be atrocious.
If you
go on social media, there's a good chance you're going to start disliking 30% of the people you were friends with.
Yeah. That is a good to fair chance that it will happen.
Well, this has been the TCF Morning Show. Yeah, we're not going to get political on here. Monday, November 2nd. Thank you to Matt at schools_01 and Boomy at Boomy TCF for joining me this morning. I am Zach Lilia at Z Lilia. TCF, the main page is at typical_Chicago. Instagram, Facebook, type in Typical Chicago Fans. You can find us on there. Go over to YouTube page, type in Typical Chicago Fans. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Morning shows, podcasts, interviews, food reviews are on there. And then wherever you get your podcast from, if it's Apple, please subscribe, rate, and review to Typical Chicago Fans. If it's anywhere else, type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. Shout out to 26shirts.com, Chicago. If you go over there, you buy a shirt, you buy a hat, you buy a flag. Use promo code Typical Chicago Fans at checkout. You will get 15% off of your purchase. Again, that is Typical Chicago Fans at checkout, and you will get 15% off of your purchase. Anything else, boys?
Let's have a great week. Despite everything going on in the world, and both our teams losing today, let's have a great week, man.
Let's
do it.
Let's do it. This has been the TCF Morning Show, Monday, November 2nd. We love you all.
Peace.